So this step, we just need to calculate the anomalies as the percent difference from a regional mean. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the snippet and go over here and paste it in. So I've created this container called anomaly that's going to store an image that's going to be basically we want to know how much warmer or cooler was each location in the summer of 2000, 2001, 2000, sorry, 2020, 2021, 2022. How much warmer and cooler was a location when compared to the median for the region? And so we want to start with the image that holds this, right? We want to start with the image that represents the land surface temperature of each pixel. And then what we're going to do, I'm just going to do it on a different line, is we're going to subtract the median value. And so that's what we got right here. And then that's going to give us how much warmer and colder in degrees, but I'd like to get like kind of as a percentage because that's going to allow us to kind of easily move between regions because if we say then divide by this, divide by the median so that we can get towards the kind of the percent of change. Um, that means that our values are always going to be between essentially right now -1 and 1. And then if you actually wanted to kind of report it as a percent, you could say multiply by 100, which might help people kind of interpret this. And then the last thing I want to do is just make sure that the band that holds the anomalies is labeled as such. So I'm going to say rename and then just call this anomaly. And then I'm going to print to see how we did. So there's my label and there's the object I want to print to the console and run this and wait for it. But hopefully over here we will get an image that represents where the numbers represent the percent difference with the median for each pixel, where the band is now called anomaly. Cool. So then what I want to do is define some viz parameters. So, because we want to display this, so I'm going to create a dictionary. And the first thing I'm going to say is the bands. And even though we just have one band, it's kind of the viz parameter key has got to be plural. And then we want that to be anomaly. And I'm going to make it a list because we're going to call it here in the histogram. And then I'm going to say, let's start with the min being -50, just to see if there's really a 50% difference, and the max being +50. And then what else do I need to do? Oh, the palette, and I didn't give you guys this. So let's start with this, run, and just to make sure everyone's on the same page, community palettes, I'm going to go here, and what I'd like to get is a diverging scheme. So we used a sequential scheme. We used this, I think, yellow to red one to represent the land surface temperature. But here we want a diverging scheme because we want to use one color to represent if it's warmer than average, and then another if it's cooler than average. So it makes sense to use this one, the color brewer red blue diverging scheme. I tend to use the white as the center on this for temperature rather than this because I think the yellow is kind of warm, so it makes the blue a little bit warmer and kind of can affect how people interpret the palette. So I want to basically be able to call that. And if you look at what we did last time, we need to say palette singular because there's just one. And then if I cruise up and look how we defined it, it said palettes because that's calling this object that has all these palettes stored. And then I just need to say color brewer and then uh, the number of colors in that ramp. So let's just kind of think through this here. Palettes and then color brewer red blue. And then before I get much further, let's just go ahead and print the palettes here so you can see what's going on. Hit run. And then after anomaly, we should get the all of a dictionary that lists all of these colors. So I'm going to go back, and there it is. And we're in the color brewer kind of tray or key. And then we're going to call the red blue. So we're calling these. And then what you can see is that the number at the end is just referring to basically how many colors. Should see that, yeah, it looks like they change a little bit from, I think it's set up where it goes from red to blue, and these are just the asking you how many colors do you want to define the transition from red to blue. Is that right? Um, yeah, red, blue, colors diverging, 3 to 11, and that's telling you that 3 is basically using 3 colors and 11 is using 11 colors. And this one here should appear in many of them, at least the odd numbered ones, because that's basically the white that they're using. Um, and so what I am going to suggest is let's use as many colors as we can. So let's go to 11, like I could do, yeah, like a Spinal Tap. And then we're gonna go hit run just to make sure this all works. And so now you should be able to fill this out, this histogram, to see what the data distribution looks like. And so I'm gonna copy all of this and uncomment it, and then kind of start working on this. So what is the image that we're supposed to see? We want to see the anomaly. What's the advice I gave you about using the histogram on an image? You want to clip it. And what should we clip it by? The rectangle that we made, the AOI extent. And then you got to put a comma after it. Okay, what what band do we want to see? Well, let's just say we're going to look at, and I'm clearly not typing well, so I'm going to copy that, paste it in here. We're going to use the first band that's in our viz parameters. Move over, move over. Not, why are you moving that? Curious, very curious. And then put a comma after this. Okay, what's the pixel resolution? We've talked about this. It's 30. Thanks very much. Move over, line up, please. Oh, that does bother me. Okay, what's the minimum value? Well, it's this thing, min, and the first min that's in the list. Great. And what's the maximum? That's easy. It's this, max, first item in the list. I forgot my comma. And then let's go ahead and print it. So, histogram, and it's okay we have the other one because it fires in order, so it'll draw that first one. Maybe it won't anymore because I commented it out, but it doesn't matter that you have histogram named twice because it treats the first one when it sees it, and then it moves on to the second one when it sees that. So it's mad, and what's it mad about? Error generating, blah 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 blah. Invalid type, list object, actual type, image, and so what is it mad about here? Anomaly clip AOI. That all looks good. That looks good. Bands, it's mad that I didn't put that as a string. And so it thought I was calling for the image in there. So that was my mistake. It's happy now, and we're going to keep moving. So that should display the main, while it's starting to draw, let's kind of set up the layer. It looks like we could pinch this a little bit more, right? Looks like we could probably go -25, +25. You want to just make sure that your min and the max are the same number, just one's positive if one's negative, so that so that zero is going to kind of be in the center. And the reason why you want it to be in the center is because we're going to use white there, and you want everything that's one color to be on one side of zero and everything that's the other color on the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to say go to the anomaly and use the anomaly viz. And we're going to call this our anomalies. And we're going to actually say true. We're going to leave it default because we would like to see this displayed automatically because this is kind of our main deliverable. So we want this to draw automatically. And I think what you're going to see is something that looks almost right, but doesn't make a lot of visual sense because we associate red with warm and blue with cool. And what we're going to get because of this palette, red to blue, is that we're going to get something that is just the opposite of that. If I clicked on here, um, I think what we're going to get is the anomaly is positive. So even though it's colored blue, but it's actually warmer than the region. So let's fix this. First, you should see too that the contrast isn't particularly great because I didn't apply what we learned from the histogram. So let's make this to be 25 and this, so -25 to 25. And then we just need to flip this. So I think we can just say reverse and that'll resort the palettes. And if I click run now, it should print out a histogram that looks a little tighter over here. And it also should draw on, so that looks a little bit like we're making better use of our display range. And then we get this where now if I use the inspector and I clicked on a red pixel, it's going to be hot. And if I click on a blue pixel, it's going to be cooler than the regional average. Is that fair? And these represent percentages. So 20%, not 20 degrees, but 20% cooler, 18% or whatever higher. So great. So now all we really need to do is add a legend.